Hello there. Yesterday I said compulsion would spread fast, and boy has it spread fast. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below, and when subscribing please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. The European Union looks poised to remove any sovereignty its citizens may have over their own bodies. First it was Austria, and then Greece. And now the EU Commission has declared it's time to start talking about mandating the you-know-what. And not just a double mandate, but potentially an annual mandate. The EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has just announced that due to the lower than required uptake, I think it is understandable and appropriate to lead this discussion now. Now, many will say that it won't affect us because we're not in the European Union anymore, so don't worry about it, and it's nothing to do with the UK anyway. But I will remind you that this is almost certainly going to affect Northern Ireland while it remains in the EU single market due to the withdrawal agreement and Northern Ireland Protocol. And that is something that might well drag the whole UK along with it into the almost certain permanent removal of human rights. As I've said in videos over the last few days, it had worried me intensely that neither the EU Commission nor the UK government had condemned or even questioned the actions of Austria in dictating a full mandate, nor the Greek diktat for the over 60s. And both of those come with fines and maybe even prison for the non-compliant. And I've also heard nothing on this from the leaders of our devolved administrations. They seem to have a view on absolutely everything else, especially Nicola Sturgeon, so why not publicly on this? And I'll leave it to you to decide whether this is a mere discussion within the EU or the next step along a pre-programmed path. And bear in mind, von der Leyen also said, this needs discussion, this needs a common approach, but it is a discussion that I think has to be led. Yes, led, but led to where? Whenever governments and the EU Commission, which is actually the EU government in all but name, when governments lead, they already have a path down which to lead you. But they usually forget to inform you fully first. Further, leaders in high places do not make off-the-cuff remarks about such far-reaching issues. This will have been thought through very carefully to ensure the pigeons aren't startled. And as there have been no criticisms of Austria and Greece or of Berlin's decision to investigate compulsion, then I'm personally 99% sure of where Brussels is taking this. And Germany has just decided to make 3 doses the full acceptable Monty, something that has caused chaos, as anyone without the 3rd is set back to 0 just 6 months after the 2nd. And who's to say there will not be a 4th, etc. And as I said, where Brussels goes on this, Northern Ireland could well be forced to go. Also, Boris has been very silent and no one asked any questions about this during PMQs today, and I found that immensely worrying. Why is a serious infringement on human rights that could affect us so profoundly not deemed important enough for an MP to stand up and demand that the Prime Minister categorically rules out that the UK will ever be doing such a thing? But none did. Their whips obviously fed them the usual party political gotcha questions. Are they MPs and opposition parties, or are they all just corporate cardboard cutouts putting on a party political show? We've already found out when looking at the small print of the new rules for England that MPs debated yesterday that there is no requirement for them to be reviewed in 3 weeks' time as promised, and that the actual end date for them is the same date as that for the relevant 2-year Act that brought this all into force. They both expire, at the moment, on March the 24th. And also that Sajid Javid has, the very next day, said we might have to wait for more than 3 weeks to get a decision on whether the new rules stay in place. The rules that MPs yesterday voted through by 434 votes to just 23. All this while the international experts and the authorities in South Africa are calling the threat mild. Yes, mild. But the whole of Europe is now beginning to move towards seemingly non-proportionate, permanent and draconian new rules. Why? And I will also point out that as far as I can see, no national or international human rights organisation has questioned any of this. Why not? Now, Boris Johnson should immediately issue a statement on what his intentions are here and what he would do if the EU were to pursue this. Because be in no doubt, should Brussels get its way and the EU mandates this, then it will bring intense pressure on the UK to also comply. The withdrawal agreement, the Northern Ireland Protocol and the Trade and Cooperation Agreement will all be wheeled out and used as potential weapons against us. An EU-wide mandate without UK compliance would see us placed on the EU travel red list. And where would Northern Ireland stand in all of this? Now, there will be some pushback from some EU27 governments, but I've seen nothing of it yet, so it could just be muted and quickly overcome. But it all comes down to how they deal with their citizens here. And Austria is already talking fines and prison for those that don't take up the offer. And when you compel people in this manner, it comes with the requirement for people to carry their associated papers with them wherever they go. And that would just be the start. And the relentless push and relentless rush for this just gathers pace in such an alarming way. And further, what of those who do not or cannot comply due to health or belief reasons? Are they to be perpetually punished? We stood before war memorials just a couple of weeks ago and gave thanks to those that sacrificed their lives for our freedoms. And now we see this evolving across the continent and the wider world. We should be ashamed. It never fails to stagger me as to how many people think that it's somehow an example of freedom to carry a pass around with you that you must show when going into any public space or building, or to go shopping or to the theatre or to the pub. And these people also stupidly think it would stop there. It wouldn't, and that is not freedom. And all the while this is going on, we have a secondary health emergency building up with a huge and mounting cancer case backlog. But before I get onto that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. The decisions our government made at the beginning of 2020 seem to have been made in a binary setting. Do we save the traditional patients suffering from cancer and the like, or those from the health emergency? And despite dabbling in the concept of the Nightingale hospitals, the government decided to concentrate on the pandemic. And through different mechanisms, that has resulted in people either not coming forward with serious illnesses or not being able to do so. Some people stayed at home, either because they were afraid to go to their doctor or to the hospital, or because they wanted to be part of the Save the NHS campaign, while others just weren't able to get to see a doctor. The result is that there could be up to 740,000 potential urgent cancer cases being missed. And the National Audit Office also says that waiting lists could double to 12 million by 2025. How do we as a society justify such grotesque numbers? I have to be very careful here in what I say, because we must not criticise too heavily the decisions made by our governments, or else we face the wrath of the powers that be. So we as a society must accept those numbers as justifiable in the health circumstances, regardless of whether or not the government made the right decision in adjusting sections of the NHS since March 2020. We must follow the rules laid out before us and merely comply. So the NHS and its staff may have been protected, but many more people may suffer as a result. And we may also have little uns sat with restricted breathing in freezing cold classrooms to save the teaching system and its staff. Someone had to climb out of the trenches and advance towards the risk. This time we gave that task to sick patients, the elderly in care homes and little children. How this will be viewed in the future is anyone's guess, but if we end up lurching knee-jerk fashion from one variant to the next, then nothing will be learned as we enter a new twilight world of perpetual fear. And right now, just a quick look at the news sees stories of people already cancelling their Christmas plans in England due to these new rules. They can sense which way the wind is blowing on this, and why take the risk. But the UK hospitality sector is on its knees, and many will not survive another knock, however small. But all we hear from Labour and the press is harder, sooner. So as far as I can see it, Keir Starmer and his new cabinet would be intent on switching out the lights while laying on a plush red carpet across the English Channel. Anyway, Sajid Javid has now said that those planning on going to a Christmas party should get a negative test before they go. But while all this has been going on, there's always been this suspicion that it's one rule for us and another rule for those that govern us, as well as those that are so wealthy that they can boss around who they like and who no one can govern. And claims are being made that Boris had a big Downing Street bash last Christmas, despite it being against the rules at that time. And this issue took up quite a lot of PMQs today, with the Prime Minister being asked about it and saying it was a safe party, but with the leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, saying the PM was taking the British public for fools over this. The reports are that 40 or 50 people were said to be stuffed cheek by jowl into what is described as a medium-sized room. But the rules at the time only allowed household bubble meetings. And when you cast your mind back to the G7 meeting and COP26, a sort of pattern emerges, doesn't it? Where those that tell you to cower terrified under the stairs are themselves quite comfortable to continue doing their own thing unhindered, either when meeting and greeting, or when flying around from grand plush meeting to grand plush meeting in gas-guzzling aeroplanes and cars, in all their ostentatious, hypocritical glory. So what's your opinion on what the EU Commission is looking at? Please like and comment below.